Hello and welcome to B-School Talk, the weekly video podcast about applying, surviving, and thriving in the business school environment. I'm your host, Judith Hodara. In this week's episode of B-School Talk, we go back to the application essay and ask our experts to tell us about their favorite.
My favorite application essay is our essay that asks students to talk about an important change that they've made in an organization in which they've been involved. And it allows us to get a sense of initiative, leadership, the sort of attitude that they take into either their workplace or even if they're using an example from their volunteer work or other activities in which they're involved. But it gives us an opportunity to get a sense of whether they're a problem solver, someone who comes up with creative solutions, or someone who just sort of observes a problem and then brings it to someone else's attention and then waits for a solution. So I think it's a good opportunity for us to see early on what type of initiative someone takes and whether or not they have those natural leadership skills that allow them to put forth change when they see it's important and positive.
My favorite application essay is one that's well written. I care less what the topic is, as long as someone has given me a really well written and well thought out essay, it's good.
One of the application essays which has been very, very memorable to me, at Holt we receive, the vast majority of our applicants are international from outside of the US. And I remember an application essay where the applicant talked about his reason for wanting to come to the US to study, and it was really to be a model for his young sons, to show his young sons that it was okay and admirable to take a risk to improve yourself.
My favorite application essay is one in which the student is very articulate about their goals and aspirations.
One that talks about an ethical dilemma and how they resolved it. The second choice is to describe an experience on a team that didn't work out and what they learned from it. The third is to pick a couple of examples of successes that they've had in their professional career that have made them good managers. In all cases, we're looking for two things. Number one, their ability to write, and the second is the thought process. For example, in the ethical dilemma, was it really an ethical dilemma? Do you understand what that means? And which road did you take? Because there's never one answer. So we're trying to get into the head of the student.
Some of my favorites are when someone talks about achieving a goal that they've set for themselves. And that goal could be something as unique as climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, or achieving a particular recognition at their job place.
The application essays, which are probably my favourite, are very much to do with the social entrepreneur or the social aspect of living in New Orleans right now. So where do you want to give back? Because that is something that's very, very important at the moment in our local community.
An example of what makes an essay response stand out in a good way would be if an individual puts their heart and soul into the response, and you can tell that it's genuine information based on their experiences.
I've read a lot of application essays over the years, and I think what really stands out for me are not so much the stories that are told or how they're shared, but what the learnings are from each of the situations. For example, you may choose to tell us about a love that was won or lost, an infidelity that might have taken place, a business boom or bust, and really what goes back into our minds is what you learned from each of these situations. It's not so much what happened to you as senior class president or as captain of the hockey team or as a junior analyst on a particular deal, but how it is that you've taken these situations, allowed yourself to grow and develop as a result, and what you're going to be able to do with this as you move ahead in your business school education and further on down the road in your personal and professional career. So keep in mind when you're going back over those essays for the 100th time, it's not so much the story that you're telling, but what you've learned at the end of the day that really matters. Thanks so much for watching this week's edition of B-School Talk. I hope that you found this week's discussion of what makes for a great application essay informative and helpful. We look forward to getting your questions and concerns over email, so don't forget to send them in. Until next week, I'm Judith Hodara.